Piece of cake. This album is good. I like this album. I like it about the same as I like Band on the Run. You know, it's like solo, just straight up Paul. You know, you can kind of see what he was contributing to the Beatles oeuvre, if you will. 3.5 out of 5. Um, yeah, so a lot of variety on here, which I think is strong for a pop album. But like also his footing wasn't super strong here. Um, it was a little kind of all over the place, but not necessarily in a bad way. I would say too many people, solid way to open things off, and it'll be highlighting what'll be talked about in the lyrics on this album. You certainly have this freshly like post Beatles Paul here. And while like I would say the Velvet Underground had already laid some groundwork in like the indie pop movement in like 67 and 69, I think Paul's contributions with Ram actually kind of set the indie pop movement into proper swing. Because like Beatles were massive, you know, Abbey Road Studios, like it was the biggest thing. And here we're like stripping away and getting a little more intimate and ramshackle in contrast to that Beatles stuff. And it's kind of cool to witness. It's like kind of the start of some kind of like musical counterculture in a way. Because I would say the 70s were way more experimental than the 60s. And I feel like the Beatles going their own ways and Paul kind of experimenting here contributed to that a little bit. Three Legs. I've never been into Beatles related blues. It's fine. It sounds good. I'm sure it's good for people who like blues, but it just ain't for me. Ram On. I love the presence of the ukulele here. Like indie pop has arrived, baby. I just love that like kind of like open, like major seven sounding motif. We get to hear it again later. Dear Boy. Paul has a hard time kicking the music hall thing, doesn't he? Still some like nice swells and layering going on here. It's a good track. Uncle Albert's Admiral Halsey, from the more like saccharine and sometimes kitschy side of Paul's songwriting, which I usually really struggle and grapple with because in some ways I really like it as pop music, but in other ways it's like the personality of it feels way too like bizarre and awkward at times. I don't know. Am I alone in that? The breezy composition here is really hard to resist. I could do without the ASMR Paul trills, though. Don't really like that. It's probably the highlight of the album for me, alongside Ram On. Smile Away. That juicy distortion is right in line for early 70s glam, and it sounds great. How do you achieve that distortion? Because, like, Suffragette City definitely had, like, a similar kind of distortion on it. Like, it sounded really thick, but also kind of compressed. Like, I don't know how you achieve that. The boogie motifs get a bit old as the track goes on, though, so it's not necessarily like a favorite on here. Heart of the Country, nice hooks over a relatively simple guitar track, nice soft guitar track. Nothing to write home about, but it's a solid entry on the first indie pop album, Monkberry Moon Delight. I don't know, something about like the weird indulgence in an inside joke is just strange to me. I'm not super into the Tom Waits Cabaret either, but it's not a terrible track on its own. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So that's like a personal dislike, I think. Eat at Home, decent driving rock and roll track, kind of unremarkable though. Long-Haired Lady, really interesting. It kind of borders on uninteresting to me at times, but like the different sections make it feel grand, and it has kind of some cool like psychedelic elements to it. Feels big. You got the Ramon reprise, nothing special but still nice. And then the backseat of my car, another Paul piano track. You know what these sound like? Long Winding Road, Hey Jude, Let It Be. If you've heard stuff like that, you can kind of vibe with this as well. Choruses are pretty solid though, nice tonal contrast throughout, makes sense as an outro. So that is my fallout for Ram. I think it's about as good and consistent as Band on the Run. Band on the Run might be an ounce better, but like for an album, like 1 year after the Beatles dissolved, like I don't know how long he had to work on this. It's not bad, and in some places the production is really cool. like long-haired lady, Ram On. Pretty cool stuff. I dig it. I dig it. Favorites are Ram On, Uncle Albert, and then shout outs to Too Many People, Dear Boy, Heart of the Country, The Backseat of My Car. Yeah. A few here I don't really like, but there's 12 tracks, so, something for everybody. That's my follow-up for Ram by Paul McCartney. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, fare thee well, and Godspeed.